as one that is usually used. But if you go outside of Greenwater, there are places to camp on some of the Forest Service roads about a mile, anywhere from a mile to 3 or 4 miles down.
Okay.
So it's a Forest Service camping and things like that where they have facilities and such. There's more what I call rough camping, or they don't, where there's you pitch the tent or they off either a side road or something off one of the spurs of the Forest Service road and camp. You know.
Now maybe I'm mixing your area up. Isn't there a river there?
There's several. We have we actually have the main one, of course, is the White River.
Yeah, but isn't there a state campground right by the White River?
Yeah, well, in town especially, we have we have Clearwater Campground, and which is right in town here, and even my property actually goes along the White River. I'm right off of about a block. If you go down further, it goes off. I believe it forks off. There's like the west branch of the White River, and then of course there is the Huckleberry Creek. And then there's the Greenwater River. So there's several different rivers, that I know of directly.
Sounds like sounds like a good area for Bigfoot or other cryptics there because the water supply.
I always say there's some key things that keep in mind. They don't favor dry locations that don't have many trees. I mean, not to say there hadn't been a sighting in the desert or anything, or in desert areas, and there have been. But they're going to be more frequent to places where the habitat's a little bit better, where there's plenty of moisture, plenty of water, marshy lands especially, or lush trees. And, of course, the Pacific Northwest is just fits that bill to the T. That's probably why it's one of the most favorite areas for them,
Oh, yeah. Now, do many Bigfoot hunting groups ever go in that area?
We've had a few. I'm not sure if the one group that was on TV came through here, Finding Bigfoot. I think they've probably, I'm not really sure. I try not to pay attention to any of the other activity that goes on with certain other people. And they've tried to arrange tours up here and things like that. I believe the BFRO does too, but I'm speaking outside of myself that I don't really know for sure.
I just know that if you go on a group tour or anything, you're not going to see anything. My incident up in the Canadian Rockies, I wasn't even looking for any creature or anything, and we were out miles up, in the middle of nowhere when we ran across whatever it was. So, I think when you get a bunch of inexperienced people running out in the woods trying to find something, I don't know if you're going to find anything.
Well, no, and that's the case. If you just get a bunch of people together and expect to see something. And so, first of all, the first problem you got there is you just got a large group of people. Well, that's going to be a big downer as far as Bigfoot and cryptids don't like to deal on that level as much as they do now, if you go to a camp, for instance, one of those things that you're referring to, and one of those big camp tours or whatever that says, okay, we're going to look for Bigfoot. So if you really want to have Bigfoot come to you, and the group says, "Come on, we're going to go blaze the trail down here looking for Bigfoot," and then what you would say is that, "No, you go ahead. I'll just go ahead and watch the camp by myself." The person more than likely is going to have an experience as the person sitting by himself versus the group going out in the woods.
Oh yeah, I just wonder, Sam, how many people go out there, with a couple people, right, and they hear a tree knock. Then so they hit a tree, right, and make a knock, to get an answer back, and then they get another tree knock. I'm just wondering sometimes if there's another person out there looking for Bigfoot, and so they're knocking on a tree, trying to get, enticing a Bigfoot, to answer. Then you get somebody out there looking, and then they hit a tree, so you might get 2 or 3 people hitting trees, and there's no Bigfoot.
Well, that would be very comical, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I think it happens.
Happened. I would say more than likely it's probably best not to have several groups going out and circle around and then coming back to camp claiming that we've heard stick knocks. And you invalidated your whole process right there by doing that. So, but it's usually where I've had that happen where I've been out a number of times where I would hear the stick knocks, and then I would respond back. I'd hear a set of 3 knocks, and I'd go 3. It'd come back, do 3. So I'd do 2 knocks, and it would come back with 2 knocks. I would do 4 knocks, and then it would come back with 4 knocks. So it's like there was a proof of an intelligent response.
Intelligent response. You know why I said that, Sam? It's because I had a guest on, maybe 5-6 months ago, and they were out, looking for Bigfoot, and they were up in British Columbia, and they were knocking on trees, and they would get responses. So, that night they were at their little, fire and by their tent, eating, and all of a sudden a group of they didn't even know they were there, came in, and they started talking. They go, yeah, we were knocking on the trees, and we were getting responses. And the guy goes, well, what time was that roughly? And he goes, such and such time. He goes, oh, and he realized they were communicating with each other. So I do think that might happen occasionally. Oh, yeah, no doubt. It's bound to happen because people get really excited. Sometimes in their fervor of trying to get an experience that they want to believe so bad, and they throw reason out the window, So, and for us, out here, we've been through our excitement about stuff like this, about hearing the stick knocks. We've been dealing with this for 4 or 5. Barb's dealing with it all her life, but for me, it's more of a more recent phenomenon for the last 5 years. Okay, so I've settled down a little bit as far as when I go out there. I don't get like super excited, and I want to run back. I saw this or saw that. I take it in stride because every time I don't go out in the woods as much as I used to. But every time I do, there's some strange event that happens. It's like clockwork now. I really like to jump into a couple of those things. Oh, please do. That's why you're on. Yes.
Yeah, some of the things I haven't mentioned before, more recent stuff. I've been able to, a lot of what I've found is on pictures, and I've been able to enhance, and I developed a sixth sense about what they're presenting themselves on. Yeah, I've came to the conclusion that they have the ability to do translucence, which means that they can actually blend with the background, or the background can bleed through. So it's allowing yourself not to always expect a solid object to appear on a picture, but being able to look behind the look behind the picture and actually see. A closest thing would be like seeing a phantom ghost or something, or seeing something that's somewhat semi-solid, but being able to discern it on a picture. And of course, when I see those things, sometimes I use an enhancement software. I can actually solidify the object because they go from. That's part of the fuzziness isn't always due to the camera. It's actually due to their strange vibrational nature. Now some people can accept that, some can't, but may not. But I tend to move more on the quantum side of this. So one of the strange things is that I've been able to not only to see them on the pictures, but I'm actually adjusting myself when I go out in the woods. I can actually see them. Lately I've been able to discern the little people. And I went out one occasion, and what I've found is that the little people, because of our sight is limited on the ultraviolet range, everything appears black in that color range. Okay, to us. So I'm looking up. I see this small black silhouette of a humanoid standing there, just above the bush, and so I'm sitting there talking, and so I see you. So I start talking for a little bit and just talking about the weather, talking just, I forgot what the content of what I was talking about, but it was just, I was trying to carry on this conversation. And finally I said, you know what, it just gets kind of tiresome just to have a one-way conversation like this. I wish you could respond to me somehow. Just as I said that, right behind me, I heard this like whack right on the trail, about 10 feet behind me. It was imagine this. Someone took one of those truck mats that use the flaps off the back of a trailer.
Yeah.
And took one of those and slammed it on the ground. That's how loud it was.
Yeah, and I bet you almost wet yourself on that one.
Oh my God. And yet when I looked around, nothing. No evidence of anything. It's something hit the ground hard, and there was nothing there to substantiate that. And it happened right at the time I said that. Another incident I just recently took up, and this is the same area that I have been mentioning, is I codenamed the Field of Dreams, and I've mentioned that before. This is one of the research areas we go to. And on this particular occasion, I've had the opportunity to take two of my two close friends of mine who actually have they're psychics, and they actually have a regular meetings down in Fife at one of the local restaurants for their group. So they wanted to come up here and to that particular area, so I said, okay, let's go up here. I wanted to see if they could feel anything in particular because of their, more enhanced abilities, to sense things. And they could feel the lightness in the air, and everything felt pretty light up there in that particular area. And so I'll go ahead and mention the name Skip. He sits down on the log there. I got a picture of him. Actually, I'll describe what's in the picture, but if anybody wants to take a look at these, I have this on the planetsasquatch.com website.
Uh-huh.
If anybody wants to go there, I will describe the picture because I know a lot of your listeners are probably in transit and things like that. So don't try to look this up while you're driving your vehicle or anything like that. Just wait till you get home or someplace else. But make a mental note of planetsasquatch.com, and then click on show slides. I'm sorry. And it's one of the first things I have. So I call it Strange Observers. And Skip's sitting there on the log, and he has a fully charged camera. And all of a sudden, I'm walking up to it and says, something's wrong with my camera. It says now it's on half voltage, and then it went dead, then it went full charge again. Never happened like that before. And I looked at him and kind of smiled a little bit. Yep. I said, that's very typical when they're not sure about a person. They're going to drain your batteries.
Yeah.
This has always happened to someone. They don't do that to me because they trust where I'm from because they know me. They weren't quite sure about Skip's camera. Okay. So I went ahead and took the picture, and I put a little yellow square to this particular dark area that I could actually see. And when I actually zoom into it, there's some strange phantom figures that are standing. There's two in particular, two humanoid figures that are actually standing there. And there's one, a smaller one in front of it, that are looking toward him, looking at him. And these aren't Sasquatch. There's other kinds of beings out there, and I have a feeling they were the ones messing with this camera.
Well, how tall were they how tall were they out of curiosity?
They were elevated up in the trees a bit, so I'm going to say, based on what I can tell in this picture, they might have been not quite human sized, maybe kind of like little people, but more or less on the 3 to 4 foot level, 3 feet tall level, or something like that.
Wow, because there's a lot of reports in North Carolina out in the woods out there of little people, but they are in about the 3-4 foot range. So
yeah,
that kind of fits into
Mary Joyce been on your program. I think that's her name, isn't it?
Yeah, Mary Joyce. Yes.
Yeah, and very intriguing. I looked at her website and everything about that, and yeah. So we have this going on, and there's what makes it even more bizarre is that some of the pictures, like I kind of like explore around the pictures that I took while they were there. I found one other interesting being that the face is very apparent, the eyes, nose, mouth. He's wearing some kind of helmet, but he looks partially cloaked. But what really intrigues me was this one also looked like he had a helmet, and he had and you know, have you ever seen those mic attachments on helmets where it comes out and it's like a square device? I'm seeing the square device again.
Oh,
this
wow.
is the fourth time I've seen a square device in front of their face. And I'm at something that's totally